there are major sticking points over key sections of the offer, while Israeli shootings and Palestinian rocket attacks cast doubts over the fragile ceasefire. I'm Jane Dutton. This is the Al Jazeera News Hour. Also on the program, as the Iraqi president arrives in Iran for talks with his counterpart, Kofi Annan says the country is on the point of civil war. And how thousands are surviving on handouts in Sri Lanka as the Tamil Tigers vow to fight on.
I'm Felicity Barr in London. The top story from Europe, braced for trouble. Turkey says security is tighter for Pope Benedict than it was for President Bush.
I'm Dave Marish in Washington. The top story from the Americas. The official count continues, but it looks like another Latin American country is moving politically to the left.
The Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert says he's ready to negotiate with the Palestinians, but only if a long string of conditions are met and Israel's right to exist is recognized. Let's take a look now at the key points of his speech. He said the Palestinians would be able to achieve an independent state in the West Bank and Gaza Strip if they negotiate with Israel. Israel would leave what Olmert described as large territories and dismantle settlements on the West Bank. And there could be a prison exchange, which would mean release of many Palestinians in exchange for captured Israeli soldier. But the Palestinian Prime Minister, Ismail Haniyeh, said that it was a natural right for Palestinian prisoners to be released. And there are also significant potential sticking points. He said that Palestine should be an independent state on the borders of 1967, and that would include having East Jerusalem as its capital. He said that it was the right of Palestinian refugees to return to historic areas of Palestine, which are now part of Israel, something Olmert said would not happen. Let's hear how the Israeli Prime Minister set out his proposals for an end to the conflict.
Should you have a new government which will be committed to the principles of the Quartet, which will implement the roadmap and will release Gilad Shalit, I will offer President Abu Mazen to immediately meet in order to conduct an open, honest dialogue between you and us. As part of this dialogue, and according to the roadmap, you will be able to establish an independent Palestinian state. We, the State of Israel, shall agree to return much land and settlements we have created. This is a grave difficulty for us, but we shall prevail in return.
And this was the Palestinian Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh's reaction to Mr. Olmert's speech.
We said that the Israeli occupation must stop operation and attacks on the Palestinian people in every place in which our Palestinian people exist, because they are one people and this is one land. It is not right to continue with the assassination policy in the West Bank, so we can make sure the positive negotiation environment which we have offered can continue on the Palestinian side. As to the issue of prisoners, this is a natural right for our prisoners to be released from these prisons, 10,000 Palestinian prisoners. And regarding the painful concession, we don't speak about pain or anything as such. There are rights for the Palestinian people, the least of which is the formation of an independent state on the borders of 1967, and for Jerusalem to be its capital, as well as the return of refugees.
A short while ago, Chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat told the Riz Khan show on Al Jazeera that there was agreement among all factions in Gaza and real hope that the ceasefire could extend to the West Bank.
I think there is an agreement in all major factions in Gaza, including Hamas, including Fatah, including all factions. Abu Mazen would not have called the Prime Minister without having reached this accord with all Palestinian parties, factions and groups. I know we're facing difficulties. Today we are consulting the Israeli side in order to deploy our forces in northern Gaza. We are determined and exerting every possible effort in order to have this cessation of violence and ceasefire hold, and then to spread it in the West Bank in the next few days. This is the most important thing. I think if we can sustain this ceasefire, then we can speak of a political horizon. But if this ceasefire collapses, God forbid, how can we speak of a political horizon? What we want is to seek a solution, fair, acceptable, agreed upon solutions for all these issues, and this should be done without conditioning the negotiation. Nobody should ask the results of negotiations on refugees, on Jerusalem, on borders, on security before the negotiations begin. Otherwise, why should we ask for negotiations?
Okay.
The thing is, now we should come back to the negotiating table. And the last thing about Hamas, yes, Hamas has been giving signals, political signals, saying it's the PLO that negotiates. They accept a Palestinian state on the 67 border. We want Hamas, we in my party Fatah, in the PLO, we want Hamas to accept the obligations of the Palestinian Authority, the mutual recognition with Israel. We want them to accept the obligations of the PLO. We want them to accept a peace process void of violence.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing. That's why Mazen is negotiating with them.
Dr. Arakat?
Saib Arakat said earlier, no preconditions to the discussion. You don't say in advance exactly what you want to achieve, so there is no need for discussion. If we discuss, if we get back to the peace table, to the roadmap, then we can discuss all the matters, all the problems that still stand between us and the Palestinians.
Tamar Samas.